After a dramatic day yesterday in Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Sprint Cup, it's time to do it all over again. A 1 hour race coming up later on today. That's due off at 25 to 3 local time. But in order to get a grid for that, we need to go qualifying, and 20 minutes of qualifying for the nominated driver will be getting underway shortly. David Anderson and John Watson trackside, and the track and indeed the general area today just feeling a little bit cooler than yesterday, John.
Yes, it's slightly cooler. I mean, you can barely notice it, but it's more overcast. That'll probably burn off very quickly. But look at this Hockenheim racetrack, just under 4.6 kilometres, 17 turns, dominated by that long sort of bending straight from turn 4 down to turn 6. And then the stadium section, turn 13, this Sachs curve, probably the most famous corner here at Hockenheim Ring. And then the 16 and 17, the scene of contact on the closing lap. Great battle between Terry Vermeulen and the Ferrari, Dries van Thor and the BMW, and the Ferrari sneaked through. But on review with our super slow-mo cameras, we saw there had been a couple of love taps, and the penalty for that was 1 second added to the time of the Ferrari, because I think BMW were very upset. So they're happy now, and I think Emil Frey Racing, who were very happy yesterday, are very unhappy this morning.
Indeed, that 1 second effectively reversed the places. Causing a collision and gaining an advantage was the terminology. Well, this is the car that won yesterday. The Audi, Riccardo Feller and Mattia Drudi, and it's going to be Mattia Drudi who will qualify it today. Again, we make the point that if you're the second driver in the race, the only time you get in the car, the first time you get in the car on race day, is when you're thrown into it in the middle of the race, and you've got to deliver. But this could be a car on pole position, couldn't it?
You've got to think that we're going to see the 88 Mercedes near to the front. Now, this weekend has been really Audi dominated. We had 7 Audis in the top 8 on the grid for yesterday's sprint race. We wait to see what's going to happen now, because people like Marcello behind the wheel of the 88 Mercedes AMG GT3 will clearly have a significant input into where that car is going to start. And all the way through the grid, you'll see what one might describe as pro drivers in where they were sitting out qualifying on Saturday.
Now, that Mercedes comes here, or came here, as the championship leading car, but had a bad day yesterday, didn't finish. Raffaele Marciello never got into the car. Timo Bogoslawski picked up a bit of damage early on and retired the car, so they were devoid of points. But it was a good day, as we were saying, for the number 40 Audi with a race win. And that's kick-started their championship hopes as well. This car was on pole position yesterday. Jordan Pepper qualified it. Today, Franck Pereira will qualify it. Great over 1 lap, the Lamborghini.
Yes, and I spoke to Jordan Pepper last night, and I said, well, we could see on screen that you were losing rear grip. And when the pursuing number 40 Audi, it had just a perfect balance all the way through the race. And he said, yes, we've got to work on that. We've got to do some stuff on the shock absorbers, the dampers and the springs. The VSR team are going a slightly different direction to maybe other Lamborghini teams have in the past. They want to focus on their technologies. But Jordan knows the strength of the car will be in a single lap qualifying. I mean, these conditions right now will enable them to light up the tyres and get ambient track temperature where they want it.
Sure. And this is a car that won the equivalent race, didn't it, in Misano, race 2 of the weekend. It's Maxime Martin who will do the time. Now, this car yesterday was, on the 18th row, but by the end of the race, with the efforts of Valentino Rossi and, of course, Maxime Martin, and, in fairness, 1 or 2 dramas for a few other people around, that car was 8th, which was a really good result.
Yes, and I think, in fairness, Maxime Martin, when he got behind the wheel, he was the one that made the greatest amount of progress. But it's a team event, so we're going to see Maxime Martin behind the wheel now in qualifying. And again, relative to what Valentino did yesterday, will that BMW be further up in comparison to those around it for the start of yesterday's sprint race?
Now, you're looking at 163, which is going to be Yuki Nomoto to qualify it today. Having just gone down the pit lane, which is good to see, Miguel Ramos and also Benjamin Goethe in the 2 Garage 59 McLarens. There they are, in fact, just in the background. As you look at the Ferrari, a car damaged yesterday as well. Louis Machiels to qualify it today. That car repaired. The Garage 59 McLarens repaired. Sizable damage done yesterday.
Yeah, I went and had a talk to Andrew Cocaldi of the Garage 59 organisation, and he was extremely unhappy. And I had a look at the damage that was inflicted, and it was by one of the JP Motorsport cars, probably down at turn 6. And I mean, the driver's door on that part of the bodywork, and a lot of it's carbon fibre, nearly it's all carbon fibre, in fact. Heavy damage.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew was absolutely fit to be tied, and I mean, he went and I think had a word with the stewards to see, you know, how come there was no penalty given, and it was decided apparently that that incident was considered a racing incident, and I don't think that Andrew Kirkcaldy would have concurred with that judgment.
There's another of the McLarens, 111, which is Dean McDonald to qualified in this session. Just thinking about McLarens, yesterday the brand celebrated 60 years since its birth. There was a little bit of a party here in the evening because there is the McLaren Trophy Europe One Make Series. And John, you were guest of honour?
I was, and very thankfully, because David, you had spoken to the management at McLaren and said, look, you know, there's a former Formula McLaren driver present, why don't you invite him down? Which I was, and I went down and I cut the cake to celebrate 60 years of a fantastic period in that history, winning races in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s, 20s, on it goes.
On it goes, yeah.
And there's a race this weekend at Monza, and you never know. You never know.
Very true. A lot of love for McLaren this weekend. Alex Malikin here, Alexander Malikin, who came out of Porsche racing in the UK, but has been a mainstay of Fanatec GT for the last couple of seasons. He drives this pure racing Porsche. Aisha Guven with him at Misano, Klaus Bachler with him here. Now, it's a bronze car. Bronze becomes ever more fascinating because you get a bronze graded driver, but with any other grade of driver. So platinum and bronze means that the car can be right up at the pointy end on occasions.
Often in the case of Klaus Bachler, we know his pace and his history with Porsche, so it's a car again. Wait and see what happens in qualifying, where we're not getting any what I would call representative times as yet, as people are going out on an out lap, then going on, starting a flying lap, but so far we've not had a flying lap time recorded, and it'll be at the end of this lap when the 911 Porsche concludes. So here's another issue which is going to be a discussion for many teams, is a lot of backing up is taking place, particularly here through 16 and 17. And there are solutions apparently being trialed elsewhere, where there has to, if you're on an out lap, on a lap, not on a flying lap, there will be a delta time you're going to have to stay above. But of course, if you go out from the pits and you then back up, coming through the final two turns, on your out lap, there is no delta time.
Sure.
So while the idea is a good idea, there are areas where it still needs to have some additional thinking going into it.
Number 32, Dries van Thor at the wheel and hustling on. Maximilian Paul has gone fastest in his family team's Lamborghini, 1 minute 38.637, DTM race winner this year, and coming to have a go in this championship to see whether the team likes it, what the feel is, and with a view to formalising plans for next year. All eyes now on Marcello to see what he can do by the end of the lap. He's running on the road just ahead of Dries van Thor, who, as you can see, has gone purple. So let's get Lello across the line. Yuki Namoto's Lamborghini goes to the top of the times. What does the Mercedes do? Through goes Marcello fastest, 1:37. Van Thor now goes fastest, 1:37.8. So by 0.160, the BMW eclipses the Mercedes AMG.
Well, the benchmark time will be the time set by Jordan Pepper yesterday in the number 60 Lamborghini VSR Racing, 1:37.4. So we're about just over 0.3 of a second away. But we've now, well, BMW topping the lists, and we didn't see a BMW topping the lists in qualifying Saturday morning, as the 44 Porsche has a little rotation. But we've still, what, 14, just under 15 minutes remaining of this session. Yeah, Maximilian Paul doing a very good job indeed, and his outing here at Hockenheim Ring. Personal best, first and second. He is currently in 8th position, but that's how quickly positions are changing over the space of one lap.
Under investigation for speeding in the pit lane, Philip Zager with the number 55 Dynamic GT Porsche, that's 34th in the times. Maximilian Paul goes through, 7th quickest. That last lap was a 38.4, personal best. Mathieu Drudi goes second. Now, we were being told yesterday it's an Audi circuit, it's a McLaren circuit, and those cars very definitely were up there. Audi, we know, set to leave not just GT3 racing, but pretty much motorsports other than Formula 1 come the end of the year. There's going to be a whole raft of drivers unemployed or eager for a drive, and they're all at the moment trying to prove how good they are. And Matthew Drudi did a good job with Riccardo Fella yesterday.
So Marcello, fastest sector 3, goes quickest overall, 137.6, so more where we would expect to see the 88 ACA ASP, or Coda ASP Mercedes AMG GT3 to give it its full title. Matteo Drudi likewise looking to try and reclaim front row group position. He's done it, 137.5, and that's getting perilously close indeed to the time set by the number 60 Lamborghini yesterday morning.
The fastest lap in the race yesterday, Matthew Drudi in the 39s, 139.2. Of course, you wouldn't expect them to be as a qualifying pace in the race, and they'll be heavier with fuel for the bulk of it. How's Maxime Martin getting on? He's in the top 10. So Drudi, Marcello, Van Thor, Vermeulen, Callan Williams, Constalappalainen, Nemoto, Neubauer, Bart, Powell. That's the top 10.
Not quite the domination that we saw in qualifying yesterday, because that was an Audi fest, basically. 7 cars in the top 8. Right now we've got Audi leading, then Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, Lamborghini. The fastest Porsche, Christian Engelhardt in 11th.
Yeah. And
the bearers, the best, McLaren, well as Benjamin Goethe, all the way down presently in 18th. Then you get 3 of them all together, 25th, 6th and 7th, with Miguel Ramos, Kopinski and Dave McDonald. So that rounds out that little group of McLarens. I would hope, I expect them to pick up the pace, certainly in the case of Dean McDonald. I would expect him to be further up than presently he is.
Now this car, Nicholas Bart on the wheel of it, was second yesterday, an Audi 1-2 therefore. This is the ComTU Racing entry that he shares with Fred Verviche, and it was Nicholas Bart and Fred Verviche's best result of the year to take second. So they come into this confidence up. Marcello has just pitted. Past the Emil Frey Ferrari goes Nicholas Bart. And at the moment, this is a car that needs to get a bit of a wriggle on. It's only 12th, number 12.
Yeah, a little bit outside the zone it would like to be in, but Thierry Vermeulen back into that zone. He's now leapt up to the second row of the grid, provisionally, that is. It was 4th quickest time. And directly behind him, Patrick Niederhauser in the number 25 Santalok Junior Audi team is in 5th position. Those are 2 driver-car pairings which I think are going to be in the races, or at the races certainly, later this afternoon.
Now, Franck Pereira has yet to have a proper run, a bit like yesterday. Jordan Pepper went out, bailed from his first run and plonked it on pole in his second. I wonder whether Franck Pereira can replicate that. And his teammate, Marcus Pavarud, in another VSR Lamborghini, currently in the pit lane as well. And we're almost at the halfway point.
I mean, it worked successfully for the team yesterday, and why change something that worked? Now, whether Frank Pereira is able to go out and do what Jordan Pepper did and nail it in one lap, but if he's got fresh tyres or a new set of tyres available, the track will be at its best in the closing moments of this 20-minute qualifying session. So why waste time and waste tyres when you know that at the end of the session, the track's at its best?
Yeah, true. Now, Christopher Hauser just went through shot, and he's just gone third, 137.4. We were talking Porsche. How's Engelhardt getting on? At the moment, the answer is...
He's not.
14th.
Yeah,
not sparkling at all. Constalappalainen here, who had a British GT outing at Portimao recently in a Mercedes, which is probably an interesting way of learning about another car. Constalappalainen down in the middle sector, good in the first, and number 14 that had a drama yesterday with engine and gearbox related problems, pressing on, looking a bit more with it today.
Yeah, I think they've overcome that. Well, the team believe they've overcome the issues that blighted the 14 Ferrari yesterday, so it seems to be running well, coming back into the pit lane currently 8th quickest, so still front row of the grid provisionally anyway, Matteo Drudi. And that 40 Audi has really been the class of the Audi field. And it just, I mean, I watched it yesterday, particularly in the pursuit of the Lamborghini, Jordan Pepper particularly, just how much better the Audi looked, particularly through the final 2 turns. Just seemed to have better balance, better overall grip levels. And Jordan Pepper was driving the wheels off the Lamborghini and having to slide a lot to keep ahead of the much easier looking to drive Audi number 40.
Federico Schionti's pit entry is under investigation. Patrick Niederhauser here is on his toes, coming up towards the end of a lap. And that very understated Santalok Audi that he's currently 6th fastest. Niederhauser up to the line, goes through.
There is the 21, Finlay Hutchinson behind the wheel. Gilles Magnus did the qualifying yesterday. That car was one of the group of 7 Audis in that top 8. So Hutchinson currently is in 24th position. So he's got a personal best sector 1, middle sector lost time. And whether he's going to gain enough in this final sector to see a further step forward, probably unlikely. So, in fact, he's bailed. He's decided to bail because that middle sector recognised that there was too much time lost, and come into the pits and have a look and have a chat, and maybe a little change here or there, or maybe a fresher set of tyres and go out and see what he can do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people now do on the next set. So, drivers getting ready to go for another run. Last year, of course, here it was a endurance round that we had at Hockenheim. Christopher Mies, Patrick Niederhauser, Lucas Legeret, the winners, and of course they're all now split across 3 different cars. So yesterday's winning Audi waits for another set of Pirellis. Only 8 minutes to go. Now it's going to get very, very busy, just as we saw yesterday. The one that's, or in fact 2 cars of note that haven't done time is Christopher Hauser and from Pereira. 11 Audi, 60 Lamborghini. I thought that Hauser had done a lap, but maybe that's been taken off him. And Maxime Martin is on the end of an out lap here. So Johnny's coming towards the stadium and is going to ramp it up in a moment, hopefully before the track gets busy, and then see what he can do about a time. He had an off on his first run, but Maxime Martin is now heading up towards turn 16.
Yeah, coming through turns 14, 15, then 16, 17 in reality is one big arc. Runs quite, not this time, but normally run fairly wide. You need to be careful of track limits between 16 and 17. A lot of drivers have been pinged a lap time. So now down into turn 1. And it's a quick turn, then let the car release and free it up on the exit and try and pick up the throttle as early as possible. Then the short run up to turn 2. Get the nose in early. You want to really do the preparation for what's coming, which is then this curve to the left, which is turn 3, and in fact incorporates turn 4 as well. Then the run down this bending back straight, whichever, can you have a bending straight? But anyway, that's what we've got here at Hockenheim. Then big break, you come down to the quickest part of the racetrack, 260 plus kilometers per hour, down into turn 6. One of the easier overtaking positions on the racetrack, but of course easily defended. Then up through the gears, flat out through turn 7, and keep yourself as much as possible back to the right. Then easy to overbrake or outbrake yourself into turn 8. Again, there's a kind of double corner. So 8, 9, and this is personal sector best time on sector 1. And yes, so now coming back into the stadium. So wow. Fastest sector overall in that middle sector for Maxime Martin. So something has happened, and the 46 BMW Maxime Martin goes purple in that middle sector. So that's going to see, I'm assuming he got personal best sector 1, runs out to the middle of the exit of 16 over 17. So he's currently in 10th position. This should see that number 46 BMW elevate itself pretty well up to 2nd place. Well, there's something we maybe hadn't anticipated. See that number 46 BMW going that quickly, and we've still got just 5 minutes or so remaining.
And not only is it up to 2nd, but the margin 62,000, so very, very close to the Audi time. Now the danger is others go faster than Martin and elbow him back, but that was a really good lap. John called it. You saw 2 personal bests as an absolute, and Martin's going for it again because he's done another personal best on his next lap.
So how much more has he got in the tank? Well, he obviously got a small reserve, because a personal best is a very good start to a lap. Wait and see what he can achieve in the middle sector. That's where he had that purple sector the 1 lap ago. Matteo Drudi still in the pits. What have we got? 4.5 minutes of the session remaining. I'm assuming we're going to see the number 40 Audi back out to defend, as Christian Engelhardt, what's happened there, just maybe getting himself prepared. And so Maxime Martin goes at 1:37. Yeah, but looking at pit out for Matteo Drudi, so he is on his way. As on board with Christian Engelhardt coming into the stadium. Personal best, first and second sectors. Maxime Martin hasn't been able to improve in that middle sector, but 51 thousandths of a second away, so it's almost nothing. He ought to be able to pretty much match what he did for his current fastest lap. He's still got one sector to go, but Engelhardt certainly picking up a little bit of time, sector one. A bit more time in the middle sector. Needs to find a lot more time to pick up something that will get him into the top 10, currently in 12th position.
So Engelhardt goes fastest, Drudi second, Martin's down to third. So all of a sudden, Porsche goes top. Christian Engelhardt, number 54 Porsche that he shares with Adrian Delina.
And that's all because all of a sudden, he had an absolutely blinding middle sector.
Now let's just eavesdrop on Maxime Martin. Going for another push, we understand, was the radio traffic, so Maxime Martin presses on. And going for another push, but he's third. It's Engelhardt, Drudi, Martin, Marcello, Van Thorp, Vermeulen. Pereira goes seventh, from Pereira seventh, Niederhauser eighth, Powell ninth, Callan Williams 10th. Still, Christopher Haaser has not done a lap. At WRT, Valentino Rossi looking content, fourth, because Vermeulen has gone fastest in the Ferrari. After yesterday's disappointment, they want to strike with that bonus point for pole. Marcello now goes quickest by 62 thousandths over Vermeulen, who is 19 thousandths quicker than Engelhardt. This is Maximilian Paul looking good.
Yeah, so since the closing moments of the session, we're seeing now these times. Matteo Drudi likewise currently dropped to fifth.
And Hauser's gone fourth. Having said he hadn't done a lap, he's banged one in to go fourth quickest right at the end.
Looks like teams have decided just to hang it out until the last moment. So Matteo Drudi was quickest, now fifth. Marcello is quickest, 1:37.3. That is a quicker qualifying time than we saw yesterday. So where's Drudi going to be in the middle sector?
Well, Drudi's done an absolute best, sector one. And let's see at the end of the middle sector, you're looking at Pereira, eighth. He's done two personals, two personal bests, two greens. Green is good, purple is really good. Thierry Vermeulen then was the fastest. He's now down to second because Marcello is the quickest. 62 thousandths once more is the margin, but Vermeulen was quicker than he had been in the first sector. He has lost out a bit in the middle. In the meantime, Matteo Drudi, absolute best, personal best. And we await his arrival up to the timing line. Here comes Franck Pereira. Should be an improvement. Behind him is Drudi. So Pereira goes through up to, no, stays in fact ninth. And what about Drudi? He is fifth in the times. He breaks the beam, and Matteo Drudi is quickest of all on a 1:37.195. So Drudi goes back to the top.
And he wrung the neck of that Audi through those final two turns. There was nothing, I promise you, nothing left in that car. Drudi was absolutely nailing it. And it responds with a lap time quicker by, well, just under a tenth of a second from Patrick Niederhauser, who's popped up to second place.
Yeah, Niederhauser's just gone through, just to go second. Winner here in the endurance race last year. He's going to get traffic on his next lap, but it's an Audi 1, 2, Mercedes 3, Ferrari 4, Porsche 5, BMW 6, that's Van Thor, Audi 7, Haaser, BMW 8, Martin in the pits, 9th Audi, De Falco, 10th Ferrari, Lapalainen. This is Benjamin Goethe, who is 18th for Garage 59.
So looking to see McLaren where they are in 18th position, as you mentioned, for Benjamin Goethe. So McLaren's not able to perform as we expected, or certainly saw them do in qualifying for Saturday's sprint race. So they're currently the best place is 18th, and then Dean McDonald 22nd, and Miguel Ramos in the 188 down in 31st. So where are they? Patrick Kapinski 36th.
Yeah,
that's a disappointing time indeed.
Flag out, session at an end, so this is their last chance. Gregoire de Moustier's green Audi goes through. He's been struggling, it seems, this year. Experienced driver, but not being able to unlock the pace. And Rima Jafari improved on her last lap, the Saudi Arabian racer. She did a time good enough to be 27th. Up to the line come the two Emile Frey Ferraris. Vermeulen ending up 4th, Lapalainen ending up 7th, improving on his last lap, 1:37.545. And there is number 77, yesterday's silver winning Mercedes, Alain Valente at the wheel of it, and that is 14th and second in class.
Well, it sort of took a little time to ignite, but those closing moments with Drudi going and doing, I mean, a pretty impressive time, 1:37.1. Patrick Niederhauser following, you know, literally 87 hundredths of a second behind, and Marcello, who we thought had done the deal and got pole position fully signed up, starts on third position, second row of the grid alongside Thierry Vermeulen in the very, very quick Ferrari, the Emile Frey Racing Ferrari 296.
Well, again, it's going to be a fascinating race, that is for sure, with 1 or 2 cars out of sequence. Gregoire de Moustier still slightly perplexed why Gregoire has struggled so much in GT3 this year, because he's been racing for a long, long time. He went off for a spell in the World Rallycross Championship, came back into GT racing, but he's only 38th. Mathieu Drudi, though, is a happy man, quickest by 87 thousandths. And the Trésor Attempto squad, there is the patron, Arkin Arca, congratulating Mathieu Drudi, but Audi for pole. There, number 9, coming down the pit lane is Alberto Di Folco, gold pole, and the bronze pole, Rima Jafali, which is a very good effort.
Outstanding effort, I would say.
Yeah, number 81, Mercedes. So an excellent effort by Rima Jafali in the FIBA racing car, shared with Fabian Schiller.
So Matteo Drudi, when they pushed the car into the garage, they didn't leave him an awful lot of space between the side of the dressing that teams put into the garages. They could have given him a bit more space, but he managed to squeak out of the car, and look at you can see the joy on his face. He knows that was a lap that he will remember, because there was total commitment, and the car has been outstanding all weekend. And when you gain that level of confidence, you can just nail it.
Let's hear from him. Mathieu Drudi, pole position driver with Gemma Scott.
Little hat change there for another first. That's been a great weekend so far for you guys, really showing the pace.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit surprised as well. I think we knew we had a fast car, but I was more confident for the race than the quali itself. But yeah, the car has been amazing this morning as well, like yesterday in the race. So I think it's for sure the best position where to start. We have to try to repeat what we did yesterday. It's a good start of the day. We have to make it even better later.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that session, and we'll see later on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Mathieu Drudi taking pole and a point as well, which is important in the championship. Rima Jafali, debating whether there's history here for the first female pole in Fanatec GT, but Iron Lynx did such a good job last year. I may be wrong in suggesting that, because Iron Lynx did a good job in gold, didn't they, last year? But that's one to check before the race. But Rima, certainly for her, a pole. John Booth, Man of Motorsport, boss of years past, Formula Renault, Formula 3, Formula 1, part of the squad. Great to see John back in the sport.
I think he's one of the gentlemen in motorsport that's been around about as long as I have.
Former Formula 4 champion going back 100 years, champion of Alton in 1984. Right, Mathieu Drudi is the fastest from Patrick Niederhauser, Raffaele Marciello third, fourth Thierry Vermeulen ahead of Christian Engelhardt, then Christopher Haaser, Maxime Martin seventh from Dries van Thor, and ninth the gold pole Alberto Di Folco, 10th from Pereira, 11th silver pole Maximilian Paul ahead of Callan Williams, Alain Valenti, Constable Apolainen and Paul Everard 15th, then Adam Eteki, Thomas Neubauer, Benjamin Goethe, Nicholas Bart and Ezequiel Perez Companc round out the top 20. A little bit further down, 27th, but the bronze pole for Rima Jafali ahead of Ralph Bowen and then Alex Malikin. The last car on the grid, the Porsche of Stefan Danul, who had a spin. Right, great effort by Rima Jafali. She must be absolutely buzzing about pole.
Rima, you absolutely have the right to be grinning from ear to ear. A class pole, that is wonderful and history made, I think.
Yeah, super happy. I had a good lap on my first set of new tires and then went back out. I knew what I needed to do. Thought I had an issue, took a cool down and pushed again and found a second or so, maybe a little bit less, but really happy. The car was amazing. The team did a great job putting it together. Now we just have to convert it in the race.
Absolutely. Well done on that session, and we'll see you throughout the race later on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Rima Jafali, of course, breaking barriers. Not only, of course, is it rare to have a Saudi Arabian female racing driver, it's very rare to have them even driving on the road. It's been a seismic change over the last few years. So great to see Rima Jafali going so well and a class pole position. Highlights of qualifying then, just to have a look. and down the pit lane the cars went, all eager for clear track space. Maximilian Powell with the Lamborghini was one on his toes early on, going well. Maxime Martin very, very rapid indeed, but not only was he quick, so were others around him, and eventually that car was rather elbowed down the order. Christian Engelhardt showed very good pace indeed in number 54 Porsche, but ultimately it was about those Audis again. The Emil Frey Ferraris, again cars with a good slippery shape, and Raffaele Marciello's Mercedes in the mix, but Audi taking race honours yesterday and the front row today. Second here, Patrick Niederhauser, pole to Mattia Drudi, and we'll be on air from 2 o'clock in the build-up to today's 1 hour race. It's going to be another cracker. We'll see you later. Bye for now.